So, I saw this trailer for Avengers Doomsday pop up on the craziest refresh pull of my life. And I'm not gonna lie, my heart started pounding a little bit. I was finally ready to be given some hope, ready to see Marvel's last chance at redemption. And then, I was dragged straight back into the crushing reality that is the current MCU. I'm not even gonna pretend I'm conflicted about how I feel about Doomsday. We've all seen the title. This movie could either be Marvel's greatest comeback, or, more probably, a Category 5 shitstorm that loses them even more fans. So over the next 8 minutes or so, I'm gonna try and break down everything about this movie that has me trash talking Marvel like this. And by the end, hopefully you can agree with me, or make me see reason in the comments section below. If you're new around here, hi again, I'm Shahir, and let's talk about Avengers Doomsday. Okay. Honestly, the first thing I need to say is this has to be the last multiversal standoff. I am begging Marvel. No more universes, no more incursions, no more this reality is collapsing into another reality nonsense. I've heard that they're sort of using this movie and Secret Wars as a way to reset the entire MCU, but right now, that's just a rumor, and I'm praying that it really isn't just a rumor. The MCU has really just been devolving ever since we had Avengers Endgame. And in more ways than one, that movie kind of signified the end of Marvel. Because let's be honest, at this point, the multiverse has gone from being an interesting concept to basically Marvel's emergency button. Hey guys, how do we connect two unrelated characters? I know, we use the multiverse. Hey guys, I really want to bring back Robert Downey Jr. and screw it, Chris Evans too. Yeah, alright, let's use the multiverse. Say, how can we ignore the consequences of something that happened in a previous movie, but, still make the script for the new movie? I don't know, use the multiverse? He's a genius. Yeah, why don't we think that actually sounds like a pretty good idea. Something tells me this entire movie is going to revolve around some multiversal bullshit that the Avengers, the Thunderbolts, the X-Men, and about 17 other groups of characters have to work together to stop. And honestly, I'm tired. Not because the multiverse is an inherently bad idea, it really isn't. The first Doctor Strange did something genuinely interesting with it, introducing the whole concept of other dimensions, and then Spider-Man No Way Home used it to explore legacy and nostalgia with characters we once had a connection with, and it actually tied in nicely with the plot of the movie. But now, it feels like the multiverse is just an excuse to throw characters together for shits and giggles. Another problem I think about is how the hell are you going to fit all of these people into one movie? We have the Avengers, Thunderbolts, Black Panther, Shang-Chi, we have the X-Men, and that's before we even get into all the other characters who are probably going to show up. At what point does this stop being a movie and start becoming a flipping Marvel family reunion? Because I'm genuinely asking, how is this going to have a cohesive story? Are we going to spend the first hour watching every single team discover Doctor Doom is a problem? Is there going to be a 5-minute scene where the Avengers meet the Thunderbolts, followed by another scene where the X-Men meet the Avengers, followed by another 5-minute scene where somebody says, "We're gonna need everyone," and then we get a 3-hour cameo compilation? I really don't want Avengers Doomsday to just be a collection of cool moments, because Marvel thinks all these cameos will distract us from the fact that there isn't actually a story holding everything together. And even if there is a story, it's probably going to be really shit. Speaking of cool moments though, I will admit Doctor Doom is looking kinda clean in the trailer. The costume design is really on par, and the reveal was epic as it should be. Straight aura farming when he stopped Stormbreaker with 2 fingers. But what I want to know is why RDJ wasn't in the trailer. We already know he's playing Doctor Doom, so this isn't some big secret anymore. The big question is, why is Robert Downey Jr. playing Doctor Doom? Because let's be honest, it still doesn't really make any sense. And I really hope Marvel has a good explanation for this that is better than, well, Robert Downey Jr. is famous and everybody likes him, because right now, this sort of feels like stunt casting. I will say though, after watching some interviews that were actually kind of hard to watch,
should we talk about the Odyssey?
We can.
The cast can't even mention how they interact with Doctor Doom in any way. So, at least we know that him having the face of Tony Stark is going to affect a lot of the plot and the way the Avengers actually treat Doom. Speaking of actors who have apparently been dragged back into this whole mess, Steve Rogers. Why? Why are we doing this? Tell me, why don't you just let the goat rest? Steve had an ending, a genuinely great ending. He got to live the life he had always wanted, passed on the shield, and finally got some peace after spending his entire life fighting. And now he's back. I don't even necessarily hate the idea of Chris Evans returning as Captain America. I just need there to be a reason. Because if Steve Rogers is purely back because Marvel knows people will get excited, then I'm sorry, but that is exactly the kind of reason why I'm losing faith in this movie. It feels like Marvel is becoming increasingly desperate to bring back things that worked. And I understand why. The MCU isn't exactly in the same position it was 10 years ago. The franchises just aren't hitting the same way, and the audience isn't automatically showing up for every movie. Marvel clearly knows that. I don't want this to all be doom and gloom.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Come on, I had to use that at least once. Because the Russo brothers seem to be portraying Thor the way he was meant to be portrayed all these years. Thor can be funny sometimes, but in mythology, is usually the sarcastic, snarky kind of comedy, because he's also one of the most powerful and important characters in the entire universe, considering he's a god and everything. It seems they're bringing back the more serious version of Thor, which is great news, because we don't want anything that happened in Love and Thunder to repeat itself. Thor is a character that's experienced a lot of trauma, but also has a lot of responsibility, and him taking up a leading role in all of this is something that I'm kinda looking forward to. I also don't want Thor to just be there so Doctor Doom can beat him up and we can all go, oh my god, Doctor Doom is so powerful. Because Marvel gave that treatment to Hulk, and now I'm not entirely sure what Hulk is about, so fingers crossed Thor doesn't end up like that. I think one of the main overarching points that I'm trying to make though is that Marvel is putting everything on this movie, and if it works, maybe this is the comeback that they really needed. But if it doesn't, then I genuinely don't know where the MCU goes from there, because Doomsday and Secret Wars need to do more than just be big. They need to completely redesign what a Marvel movie looks like. I don't want every character to have one seed, one joke and one action sequence before disappearing for 40 minutes and then coming back. Because if Marvel's going to bring back the Avengers, the Russo brothers, Robert Downey Jr., flipping Chris Evans, and potentially half the characters from the last 15 years of cinema, you better have a damn good reason for doing it. Like Spider-Man No Way Home. And you know what? If you can actually make all of this work, Marvel, fair enough. I'll shut up. I'll sit in that cinema and I'll watch Doctor Doom show up. I'll definitely get emotional when Steve Rogers walks on screen. Then I'll pretend I didn't make this video and I wasn't complaining about this movie for the last 8 minutes. But right now, I'm nervous because Avengers Doomsday feels less like a guaranteed comeback and more like Marvel putting every single chip they have left on the table. And also, just to end on a weird note, Dune's gonna be in IMAX, but Avengers Doomsday is gonna be in Infinity Vision. Marvel, sweet little Marvel. We really have lost touch, haven't we? I mean, considering Dune has been working so closely with IMAX, it really is no surprise that they take priority. But if Marvel wants to survive, they really need to step up their game, in all ways. And that's all we have time for today, my people. You know what to do now.